A new podcast is highlighting the experiences of Black Canadians living in small towns. The host is Tiana Edwards, who grew up in Kingston, moved to Toronto for school, and there she is. She moved back to Kingston 10 years later. Her experiences as a Black woman living in these two cities inspired her to start the podcast, and she's joining me in studio with more today. It's great to have you here, Tiana.
Thank you for having me.
So on your podcast, you speak with Black people who live in Kingston about the reality of living in a predominantly white city. On your most recent episode, you had Judith Brown talking about her experiences. Can you tell us a little bit more about her?
Yes, so Judith Brown has been in Kingston for 50 years. She went to Queens, she came from Bermuda. And what's incredible about Judith is like her historical context of living in Kingston, right? Because we can talk to folks who have just moved here, but Judith Brown has been here and has been doing community organizing for a number of years, and is just really like a beacon of light. She was just amazing to talk to.
What were some of the stories she shared with you?
She shared about advocating for her children as they were in school. She has 4 kids. She talked about community organizing and how she actually made the effort to build community when she was living there. She was like, no one's gonna tell me that I can't live in Kingston because there's no Black folks here. So she really found her people. And she talked about her advice to folks who want to stay in Kingston and what that actually looks like and the effort that they have to make to be there.
I imagine there are incredible highs, but also incredible lows that come with that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that she's just a very positive person. So she really just focused on, there are some challenges as being like the only Black person in some spaces, but I just continued to show up for myself and to show up for the folks around me.
Tiana, you also run a blog called Keep Up with Kingston. In 2020, you wrote a post that sparked a lot of conversation. In this post, you said Kingston has a notorious issue with race. How did this impact you while you were growing up there?
Yeah, I think as a child, now that I'm an adult, I have language for it, right? There was a lot of assimilation in the sense that I was just trying to fit in, kind of like going along with the jokes because I would be the only Black girl in school, like just not really standing up for myself. And realizing as an adult that some of the stuff wasn't okay. It wasn't okay to kind of just blend in and accept some language that wasn't acceptable, just to make sure that I didn't have to be the only person trying to stand up for myself, was basically what I was getting at. And post George Floyd, when I wrote that blog post, I was kind of sick of people being like, this is an American problem. Mm-hmm. So I kind of just wanted to name what it actually felt like to be young and Black in Kingston.
From Kingston, you moved to Toronto for school, then you returned back to Kingston in 2015. How did that change you, coming to a big city here in Toronto and then moving back to the community where you were raised?
Yeah, I think it felt so good to come to the city and blend in. It felt good to not be the only Black person, and it really just made me have a different standard of how I wanted to be treated. And so that's why when folks say, has Kingston changed? It's well, I definitely have changed the people I surround myself with. I make sure that I'm around folks who are affirming to my identity, and I don't get tokenized, and I don't feel like I need to, I'm not being too much. I'm just being who I am, and people accept me for that. And so I've definitely changed my perspective of, the folks I surround myself with, and the effort I made in that way.
But I imagine even if whether Kingston's changed or not, you've changed, and that is going to change the community with you.
Yes. That's exactly it. And I think I always say that I'm kind of serving my young self coming back to Kingston. And that's what it's felt like, doing this community organizing and doing the podcast and really just showing Black folks are here and we're connecting and we aren't going anywhere. And so it's it's just a nice way to affirm who I would have been if I, was 13 in Kingston still.
Tiana, it's great to meet you. It's great to see the work you're doing and continue on. And please keep in touch with us here on the show.
Thank you very much.
We will take a short break here, but before we do that, you can listen to Kingston, the Black Experience on Spotify and Apple Music. Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.